أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد صلوا على رسولنا محمد. Today's talk is going to be inshallah about the allegations made by Christians and some other non-Muslims or groups, and inshallah I will try to show that all the allegations are really rubbish, because they don't have enough knowledge and they are really ignorant of what they are talking about. So when you are ignorant, I think you have to just shut up, or you have to go and learn. And if you don't learn, then you will be mocked by people who just look at your allegations, and you're gonna be in a very ridiculed situations and or situation. And inshallah we will now cover some of the things. The first thing I want to talk about is they are saying that the Qur'an has been changed, or they are saying Abdullah ibn Mas'ud had a different Qur'an, and also Ubay bin Ka'b radiyallahu anhuma had also different Qur'an, and apparently Ubay bin Ka'b had 116 surahs or chapters, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud had 111 chapters in his Qur'an. Firstly, Islam is not a religion of individual people, okay? And Islam was brought down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and through his messenger, Qur'an was revealed over 23 years period. And in this period, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala educated the people of the era, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them examples to us, the generations after the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. And so let's talk about these allegations that I just mentioned about 111 and 116 chapters of those individuals. First of all, those individuals learned the Quran from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly. So for that simple reason, one is having 116 and the other one is 111. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, it's a big contradiction. And also, as we specifically said, individualism is not part of Islamic belief. Islam believes in an ummah, group of people. Okay, and because of these things, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had, for example, over 40 scribes. Whenever verses were being revealed to him, he called his scribes, and wherever he went, his scribes were always with him, and there were over 40 scribes. And also other companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were present, and also writing these verses down. And also they had, some of them, they had a really good memory, and they would directly memorize these verses. And also some of them, when they were writing, they would also take like side notes, what certain things meant. And so I put here the chains of transmission of how the Quran was taught to the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then through generations to the main imams who were experts in Quranic recitation. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as you can see, is in the middle, and the first generations, this bit, like the ones that I put in circles, kind of thing, and so these are all the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they learned directly from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as you can see, for example, through this generation, this is it goes to Imam Nafi'. So, and in this chain of transmission, we have Ubay bin Ka'b, Zayd bin Thabit, Umar Khattab, radiyallahu anhuma. Now, the claim was against, for example, Ubay bin Ka'b. Okay, so he had 116 chapters in the Quran. Now, Zayd bin Thabit, Umar bin Khattab, they are very close friends of Ubay bin Ka'b. Okay, and also Zayd bin Thabit was a scribe of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was also the chief commissioner of during the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr and Uthman in the compilation of Qur'an. So it just they know each other very well. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, one has 116 and the other one is, I mean, he in the allegations his Zayd bin Thabit doesn't appear, but as we can see that through this chain, for example, like Abu Huraira, Abdullah bin Abbas, they learn from them, and then another generation, and it comes to Imam Nafi'. I personally have a copy of Qur'an according to Imam Nafi', and his two students, or two narrators from him, Qalun and Warsh, and both of them contain 114 surahs. And another issue, all the surahs, they start with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, okay, and apart from Surah At-Tawbah. So that was, for example, another allegation about Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Is it part of Quran or not part of Quran? There is a consensus. There is not a single doubt that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is from Quran, and in every single mushaf you will see in today's world, or in the past, you will always see Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim written at the beginning of each surah, apart from Surah At-Tawbah. And this is another thing. Now, the allegation that or they are confused, or they don't know, or they are doing it deliberately, whatever, they are saying like, if you take 114 Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it's 114 verses, this, that. So that has never occurred. It's always there. I don't really understand why they are talking about, or what they are talking about, because I have, for example, all the mushaf, all the Quran according to all these imams. Yes?
Sorry, what is a mushaf?
Mushaf is Quran.
Oh, sorry.
So Nafi', Imam Nafi', Ibn Kathir, and then so I have a copy of Imam Nafi's Quran, and you can even go to, for example, and go online or go to a local mosque. You can find even according to Imam Warsh, one of his rawis, like his narrators, students. So you can see a copy, and you will see that at the beginning of every surah there's Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, and so while in the chain, Imam Nafi' learned from those, and he has 114 and he has 116. Okay, of them 114, 116. You see, like this is a lie, or it's just something stupid, right? So it is. There's no basis for this. Let's say that. Let's accept it. Okay, that an individual has a Quran, and there are 116 chapters in it. Okay, let's accept the allegation. How does that prove, okay, the author, the Quran has been changed? For example, as an individual, yeah, I have a Quran, and in my Quran, I always take notes, okay? I sometimes write like du'as, okay? So, if I die, for example, one can come up and say that, oh, you know what, at the end of this there's a chapter, or, you know, it is there, etc. And also, as I told you, this is an like individual thing. And do you think these people are his close friends, okay? And also, he has been praying behind Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, himself was leading other companions, because he was from the great, like from the elderly of the companions, whereas Zayd bin Thabit was a younger. And also, like Ubay bin Ka'b and Umar bin Khattab, they know each other very well. So, and Umar bin Khattab was a Khalif, you know, he was the second Khalifa. So, and they will not like, they should not have any communication whatsoever, you know. It's just, this is unbelievable. And the other thing is, in the Quran that he had, there were two like du'as that we recite in Salatul Witr, okay, and these are called Du'a al-Qunut, okay. So, and Du'a al-Qunut also through hadith, okay, and through lots of mutawatir narrations, we know that they are not part of Quran. And also we recite them only in Salatul Witr. It is normal, yeah, for someone in that time to write some du'as, or, you know, some like notes in their own like private books. So this is a, I mean, I don't even need to say anything else. It's just a very funny allegation, okay? And the same about same allegation was made about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, okay, and his mushaf. Now, as you can see, yes.
You made that actually very nice and clear, but can I ask, is there any narration that the Christians or anyone could point to about Ubay bin Ka'b where he says, yes, I do have extra surahs, you know, and people didn't acknowledge this, and actually I have the true Quran? So is there any statement of his?
No, nothing.
So is it just, you could say, deduction by people?
Yeah, it's just stupidity by certain people. If you don't have knowledge, you will just make things up, okay? So that's why, like, I just gave you just one of the imams. As you can see, look, from here, Ibn Kathir goes to Ubay bin Ka'b as well. Abu Amr goes to Ubay bin Ka'b as well, okay? And then Ibn Amir, it goes to Zayd ibn Thabit, okay? And they know, as I told you, like, they know each other very well, okay? Like, for example, I used to study the Qur'an. So when we were together, like, studying the Qur'an with my friends, I know every single thing about those people. yeah, in terms of like how they live, what they memorize. I had a friend, he would memorize the Quran by just looking like this. Just with just reading. He had that sort of memory. We would just, we would just be wow, We just read the line, and then this is in his memory. I had friends who were blind, and they knew the Quran by heart. Okay? So you need to understand, you need to be in the environment to understand the situation of these people. Okay, for example, I studied the different modes of recitations according to these imams. So when someone studies that, you need to have a specific, just for your own Quran, to make notes. This is not easy. This is really hard. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for people. Inshallah, I will explain it to you in a bit. Yes?
So just to sort of reiterate, Ubay bin Ka'b himself never alleged what people are alleging on his behalf, that I have a Quran with 116
Yeah,
surah.
exactly, yeah, that's right.
There's no authenticated report.
No.
And all of these, Nafi, Ibn Kathir, you said were all mutawatir, these changed?
All of them mutawatir. If you take any of these people, yeah, and ask Muslims, they will just tell you they are all authorities in Islam, and and these, like the companions, are even like by Prophet Muhammad, they were revealed. Okay, so we have no doubt about the authenticity of these chains. And as I told you, there were many huffaz, many people who memorized the Quran, okay, during the time of Prophet Muhammad and after the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, imagine this. You are going to, like for example, Sa'd ibn Waqqas, radiyallahu anhu, when he was in an expedition towards like Persia, there were over 300 huffaz. There were over 300 people who memorized the Quran completely. You know what this means? Normally, people like those people, they should not encourage, for them to go to a battlefield. They should stay behind and teach. Okay, people of knowledge, they are encouraged to teach. But that shows the immense number of huffaz in that period in the ummah. That easily over like 300 huffaz are also part of this expedition. And also I have like I can name many of these huffaz here if you want. Okay, and for example, I mean, imagine this. There was another allegation saying that during the time of Prophet Muhammad there were only like 4 people who memorized the Quran. Only 3 wives of Prophet Muhammad, Aisha radiyallahu anha, Salama, radiyallahu anha, and Hafsa radiyallahu anha. 3 of the wives of Prophet Muhammad knew the Quran by heart. What are you talking about? It's a joke. And also those who memorize the Quran, like Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, Umar radiyallahu anhu, Uthman, Ali, Zayd bin Thabit, Ubay bin Ka'b, Talha, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Zubair, Huzaifa, Anas bin Malik, Abu Darda, Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. Like I can just carry on, okay? So when I hear to compete or this, that, blah blah. So I'm just mentioning some of these, and imagine these are the famous ones. And think about the others, and also like from, as I told you, from women, like 3 of Prophet Muhammad's wives, and also there were others like Waraqa bin Nawfal. So she was also Hafiz al-Quran, and the other thing is like Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, who was buried in Istanbul at the moment. Like so Sa'ad bin Nu'man, Ubadah bin Samit, Mu'adh bin Jabal. So many, like I mean, also scribes, like those who wrote the verses next to Prophet Muhammad, they wrote 2 copies. One of the copies were left with Prophet Muhammad, and the other one they took with themselves. And also after they wrote it, Prophet Muhammad tested them, whatever they wrote. And when Prophet Muhammad was writing, there were also people who were present and memorizing those, not only for men, but also Prophet Muhammad did the same thing with women as well. And that's, for example, one of the reasons why Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, at a young age, got married to Prophet Muhammad, because for the purpose of education and teaching Islam to women mainly as well. And so these are all, like, you know, we have to see and understand. Yeah, your question?
Just going back, you said mutawatir. Can you just explain?
Mutawatir, for example, I will just say, okay, mutawatir and ahad, for example, these are 2 terms mainly used in hadith and also in other areas. And mutawatir means it comes, the chain, if it is in a hadith. Let's say, you know, there are generations of people, okay? And in this generation, many people are talking about something. And then in this generation, same many people talking about something. And then in this generation, same people, they're talking about something, okay? And for example, do you have any doubt in your mind that Winston Churchill didn't live?
No.
Why not?
Because everyone talked about it, like back then and even today.
Yes.
Everyone, like, it would be very...
You can even hear him, maybe, you know, there are often some audio, like this, that, and then you have pictures, etc. Yeah?
Yeah.
And so then you can say this is mutawatir.
Okay.
So there is no doubt. So do you have any doubt that there was an empire called Roman Empire?
No.
Huh?
No.
So because even after the decline of Roman Empire through the generations, so the knowledge was passed down. So same thing. So like Caesar or pharaohs, you know. So these are all mutawatir. For example, I have never been to Japan.
Yeah.
I have never, like, you know, I have no clue if there's a city called like Kawasaki or Yamaha or something. Okay? So my point is, but I have friends who has been to Tokyo. Also I read in the papers. I also saw, you know, on TV. So this is mutawatir. Okay? Whereas ahad, it comes through like a single narration, or sometimes there might be many narrations, so single of them, but they can be considered as mutawatir as well, because the number of it, like, is too much, and these people who narrated it, they are reliable people. So mutawatir, when something is mutawatir, we take it as evidently authenticated. And the verses from Qur'an are like authenticated through mutawatir. We do not take anything from ahad hadith or ahad khabar and say that this must be a verse or this must not be a verse. And all the allegations of those Christians, this, that, because they think they know better, yeah. And I will explain it with the verses from Qur'an, inshallah, the behavior. And they are talking about these ahad hadith, where our scholars already analyzed these hadith investigated them, already wrote explanations about these, okay? And there's a science for this, okay? So all these things like a lost verse, or Aisha radiallahu anha, you know, said something about there was a verse and then the goat ate and all that sort of stuff, yeah? These are all ahad, okay? They are not mutawatir. So they cannot be considered part of Qur'an at all. So we then look for reasons why they are mentioned, or they were mentioned in these hadith books, okay? So this is the main reason. Okay, so the other thing, I will come to that.
You know the list that you read out, how do you know that list is true? Like, how do you know it's not just simply made up by Muslims in order to
no, it's mutawatir.
Okay.
Again, these we, subhanallah, what you are telling me that like all these people, these are made up. Do you understand? So if these people were made up, then Prophet will also made up.
Not that. What I mean is like with regard to them being Hafiz.
Yeah, but the Nafi' ibn Kathir, Abu Amr, ibn Amr, Asim, Hamza Kisai, okay, they were all Hafid al-Quran, and they learned from those, and through this chain. I have for example, Ijaza, yeah. Alhamdulillah, I am a Hafid al-Quran, okay. I know different types of recitation. My Ijaza goes back to the Prophet, right? Do I look real? Okay, so if I am real, then they must be real. Because if they didn't exist, or if they were not Hafid al-Quran, like who memorized the Quran, then I wouldn't know, or I wouldn't be able to memorize the Quran according to these different modes. And I will also tell you about why there are different modes, and talk about the 7 type of modes, what they meant. Yes?
So you explained that very well actually, because it ties in with the mutawatir, doesn't it? So if any of these people or these chains are made up, then it's like a giant conspiracy.
Yes.
Like we decided to invent Winston Churchill, and then through the generations, people said, okay, let's pretend Winston Churchill exists, and then eventually people believed it. But to initially invent Winston Churchill is a very difficult job, or to invent the Roman Empire or Japan, it requires a huge conspiracy of people, and then you have to show how come the evidence of this conspiracy has been erased. It's like worse than denying 9/11. It's kind of like a very strange idea that you can make up ideas. You know, because some people even do deny a Prophet Muhammad existed, some really ignorant people. I think Robert Spencer. And
also, you know, look, if you read the, I don't know whether you guys like read any books, especially about Islam. So if you read, you will always see the narrations. For example, you know, these imams, they are also considered as thiqa, like reliable, trustworthy people in ulum al-hadith, okay, in the science of hadith. Because we cannot understand the Qur'an only by looking at Qur'an. We need hadith as well. Prophet Muhammad's name always mentioned in Qur'an, okay, about these issues like the legal rulings, etc., with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu, O you who believed, ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul. Okay? Always ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul. أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. Okay? Again, like أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول, obey Allah, obey the messenger. It does not separate those two. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not separate. Why? Because He's the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we are talking about like Islam, we are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His Prophet explaining the message. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and uses Prophet Muhammad's name always with him in the Quran. When and I gave you example of this, like أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. And then in other words, قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني. Okay. So they're like, if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then فاتبعوني. Then obey the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you claim that, yeah, you know, we love Allah, we do this, we do that, yeah. Then you will do as you are told by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, and then, so why is this? Okay. So what? Because we believe that what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, we take it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Okay. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Najm, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. So he does not, yani Prophet Muhammad does not like speak through his inclinations. Okay? إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى. Yani he speaks with revelations that reveal to him. Right? And so we can see here that so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Prophet Muhammad always with himself. So that's why we take everything, whatever we learn from Prophet Muhammad, because he's the messenger. You see, messenger. So if a king, yeah, brings you, let's say a king gives a letter to a messenger and the messenger comes to you. Now, that message that you are reading, does he, like the king, like did he send you that letter, or did the messenger send you that letter? Which one? So where are you? Huh? The king, right? So the prophet is bringing it. Then can you say that
delivering the message?
Yeah, delivering. So can you say that the messenger is actually telling me what to do? Huh? Exactly the same thing. All the messengers, yeah, are just calling upon one thing and one thing only. Yeah? Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them. Okay? So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. So whatever the Prophet gives you, take it. Whatever he forbids you from, then refrain from it. So this was important. The reason it was important because, again, like in some of these like Christian blogs and also in videos that they have, so they are saying, like, for example, you know, oh, Qur'an changed and all that sort of stuff. So the thing is, they say Qur'an changed because they have no clue about Qur'an. If they knew what Qur'an was, they would just be amazed. Okay, I will show you some of these like miraculous, you know, nature of Qur'an. Actually, they're saying that, oh, Qur'an changed. But I will show you actually that there is not a change. There is miracle. Okay, so one of them is I saw this in this again, like a Christian guy who's attacking Islam. Yeah, I don't know their names. Apparently they are famous. So, like one of them is I saw this qala and qul. Okay, qala and qul. So they were saying that like in one narration, yeah, it is recited as qala, in other one it is recited as qul. Okay, so the qala and qul that he's talking about is when I said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and also himself. For example, when we say like قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, you know that قُلْ, what does it mean? قُلْ means it is like amr. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling his prophet, قُلْ, say, O prophet. Okay? That قُلْ is this. Say, O prophet. And in when it says like say, O prophet, was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was talking from his own inclination? No. So he's gonna say something that is gonna be delivered to him through Jibreel alayhi salam by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? What is that, for example? Alhamdulillah. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say, O Prophet, Allah is one. Okay? In another narration, okay, they say this qul is not qul but qala. So it is not written as qul but qala. What does qala means? He said it. Who said that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huh? So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? What does he say? For example, he say, let's keep this here. Hu Allahu ahad. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah is one. Okay? So, but I will make this example specific because I gave this example as you guys know. Qul hu Allahu ahad. So, for example, according to one narration is قَالَ رَبُّكَ. Okay? قَالَ رَبُّكَ means your Rabb, yeah, يعني your Allah. قَالَ, he said. Okay? يعني your Rabb said. Okay? This is the beginning of that verse. So, in another narration, it is قُرْ رَبِّكَ. Say, O Prophet, okay, that your Rabb, okay, one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like directly himself saying, your Rabb, Allah said, and قُلْ رَبِّكَ, or قُلْ رَبُّكَ, then Prophet Muhammad saying, your Rabb. Now, when we say, أطيع الله وأطيع الرسول. So when we are taking any rulings, anything that we are learning from Qur'an, okay, from Sunnah, it is actually a revelation, yeah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what this is the miraculous nature of Qur'an. What this means actually, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not, yeah, make a separation between the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly referring to or through his messenger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words are being explained. There is no difference whether you take it from the Prophet or you take it directly from Allah. There is no difference, and both of them covers this. This is a miraculous nature, because there is no way in any language you cannot express, yeah, like everything by using just one word. Whereas, for example, then we read like according to one qira'ah, like قال ربك, so قال ربك. Okay, look, what did I say? قال ربك or قل ربك. So, but I say قال ربك or قال ربك. So this is also like different. This is tajweed rule. So if you knew what tajweed is, then inshallah you would understand that like 95% of the differences comes from like through tajweed, more like pronunciation, dialect. The other 5% comes through like these different, it looks like a different meaning, but actually it shows the miraculous nature of Quran. I will give you, inshallah, other examples soon, but yes, you also.
So you mentioned Christians bring this example up. What are Christians trying to show by this? Are they trying to show that?
Oh, they're saying that the Quran changed, but actually, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he recited as qala and he recited as qul in both ways. Okay.
So they try and say the meaning has changed.
Yeah, meaning Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited in both ways. This is the miraculous nature of Quran. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, and look, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Kahf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. What this means, قل, again like, قل, yeah? All prophets say. Now here, you know, for example, I will tell you another thing. But for example, تجري من تحتها, okay? And the Christians also use this as well. Oh, in this recitation it says tajri min tahtaha. In the other one it says tajri tahtaha. So there's no min there. So it has been, you know, so it's changed, right? So let me tell you, you know, whenever I say to you, I mention qul, and then I say, O Prophet. But there's no "O Prophet" in the thing that, you know, I'm saying. Huh? So like after "Qul," there is no like "Qul," you know, "Ar-Rasul" or "Qul ya Muhammad." You know, I don't say that. So this means look. These are like that's why I'm saying, you know, ignorance. Ignorance is very dangerous, and these people, they are so ignorant, and then they start talking. So the name of Prophet Muhammad is made like we call it hadf, like it's not mentioned there. This is like one of the like grammar or, you know, eloquency of like Arabic language. This happens also in other languages as well. So can we say that, oh, you know what, actually there should have been the name of Prophet there? Otherwise, you know, it's not like known who that is, blah blah, yeah? You know how absurd this is? Thinking? Same thing about, like, you know, saying, oh, there's a word or here, or there's this, that. So these happen because of certain rules, yeah, of Arabic grammar and what we call like balagha, okay? And if you know these, then inshallah you will understand these points clearly. And the other thing is, we are not even like trying to like defend what these things are, because there's nothing to defend. Nothing is changed. What we are saying is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited in all these ways that have been like transmitted, you know, through the companions. Now the issue is, all these ways are called, what we say is like sab'at ahruf, like 7 modes, okay? Now here 7 is not used, okay, as like 7, then you count. 7 is used as like plural, okay? Like for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Qur'an, like say, sab'atu abhur, yeah, ma nafidat kalimatullah. And if there were like 7 seas, and you know the ink, you would write, and the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not deplete, okay? So it doesn't mean yani, you know, oh, 7 C's, or like why 7? Why is it not 8 or something? Or, there, that 7, it says plural. Okay? Plural of what? Ahruf. So which ahruf is like modes or the ways, like, you know, methods. So you can see like, you know, like many methods. So that 7 ahruf does not mean 7 imams of Qur'an. Because we have more than 7 imams of Qur'an. We have like 10 of them, and we have also different like recitations. And the reason it's called like 10 imams, this, that, because each imam was an expert in that certain qira'ah. That's why, you know, they become like so famous. And then the names of these qira'at, you know, are named after those imams. It's not like, you know, they made up something or they came up with something. And all these differences, they were uttered, they were taught by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. And this is one of the like dynamic nature, yeah, like dynamic nature of Qur'an, okay. And as I told you, like this is one example. Like they are saying, oh, it's changed. You know what changes? For example, I use, let's say I take this paper, right? I burn it, right? Or I change the shape of it and then, you know, make it something else, and then, I don't know, like do some sort of stuff to this paper, and then you say, oh, you changed it. Now change happens when something changes from one form into another, or, you know, that kind of thing. If all these, yeah, qira'at are taught by the Prophet Muhammad, yeah, in the way that they are recited, how do you call that a change? Okay? It's so absurd. Because these people, they can't really comprehend, okay, the miraculous nature of Qur'an. And the other example I want to give, yeah, is, for example, from the like balagha. Okay, balagha is also the eloquency of Qur'an. So there are different, you know, types of balagha. For example, there's a verse in the Qur'an. It says, وَلَئِمَّ مَسَّتْهُمْ نَفْحَةٌ مِّنْ عَذَابِ رَبِّكَ. Okay, so here the words, like every single word here, like la'in, okay, and then massa, yeah, massa, nafhatun min adabi rabbika. Each word, when you take them, each one of them, they refer to something like little, okay. When it says like la'in, la'in means like if kind of thing, okay. So it does not mean like certainty. There's some sort of that. It may happen, it may not happen, like, you know. So massa means like you touch something, okay. Massat, touch. So it's not like, you know, grasp or, you know, this like something little. Massatun, nafhatun is a whiff of like a wind, okay. Nafhatun, min means, whenever you see min, it means like part of something. Min adabi. Okay? So part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's adab. And adab there is not like adabun alim azim or iqab, or, you know, like a big adab. So min adab, part of the adab. Rabbik, like Rabbik, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses Rabb. Rabb always, like, you know, it's like the educator. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala educates people. Like, it shows some sort of like mercy, compassion. Okay? Look, but the whole meaning means if just part of the adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's just a small part, would have touched you, yeah? Then, like, you know, that would be like really like devastating. Okay? So every single word here like means something like little, but as a whole it gives something so great. Okay? So this is, for example, one of the, you know, like miraculous, nature of Quran. The other one is, for example, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Okay? وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُم, from the ones that we provided you, okay? Like whatever we have, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُم, whatever we have given to them, okay? يُنْفِقُونَ, so they will give as a sadaqah. Okay? What is sadaqah? Charity. Okay? So from the ones that we gave them, we provide them, they will give sadaqah. Now look, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. This is just a part of a verse, okay? You know what? You know how many rulings come from just this bit? 6 rulings from just وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So here, for example, I will just mention a couple of them. One of the rulings is, we gave you the like wealth. It is not your wealth for you to give, so you will give in the name of Allah. Okay? Or whatever it is, whether it is like love, it is knowledge, it is anything. And that one is mentioned because there's a mada, it is general, it could be anything, not specifically wealth. Okay, third one, razaqna, we provided you. So from that also, it is understood that when you are giving something, you should not say, I gave this to that person. So like kind of humiliating that person. I am doing this to you. Know this. Yeah, this is not allowed. Okay? مَا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. For example, يُنْفِقُون is like you give to those who are in need. You don't like give to those like who already have money and all that sort of stuff. Okay? And so as you can see, like just a small thing. But when you read it, what do you understand? You just say, oh, we provided them, like goods or wealth and, that sort of stuff. And then, so they give charity. That's what you read. No one understands the things that I just mentioned, right? So people need to, like, when you are criticizing something, when you are trying to understand something, you need to know this sort of stuff so you can really have a clear understanding. Same with like qala, qul. This is from Quran, both of them. That's what Prophet ﷺ taught us. Now, if your mind is fixed as, oh, there has to be just, fixed, some like thing, then that is that means you're not like from our world. We live really in 2 separate worlds, because we have a Quran which is not like any other book. Okay? There's, for example, there are other examples of these. For example, وَكَذَلِكَ نُصَرِّفُ الْآيَاتِ وَلِيَقُولُوا دَرَسْتَ وَلِنُبَيِّنَهُ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْلَمُونَ. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again like explains and thus do we diversify the verses so the disbelievers will say, you have studied, like darasta. Okay? So in one qira'ah it is darasta. The disbelievers are saying, because Prophet ﷺ really like explaining everything like in detail and nicely and all that sort of stuff, yeah, like diversifying so they can understand. And so because so Quran is clear for people who know. So they say, oh, you studied this really well, okay? Darasta. In another narration, it is darasta, which means you studied this with some other like scholars, mainly with Ahli Kitab. And another one is darasat. Look, 3 forms of this verb. And darasat means, oh, all this stuff that you are telling us, these are like old like stories and like it's not, and that sort of stuff. And as you can see, it covers all the things that those like disbelievers against the Quran said to the Prophet ﷺ, it does not only cover one of them. So like this is another, as I told you, like, you know, miraculous nature of Quran. And when you know these, like, you know, in detail, there are some of them, like, you know, it just blows your mind away. Look, I am not like Arab, right? And I learned Arabic later on, alhamdulillah. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me, yeah, with this understanding. And I'm sometimes thinking, you know, if Quran was, yani, nothing can be this miraculous, okay? And whereas some other people, because they are blind, they can't see it, when they see something like written different or something, they say, oh, this is like changed, oh, this, that. And the other thing is, they don't even believe in Quran. If you don't even believe in Quran, why are you like bringing like sort of like proofs from Quran? It's just nothing makes sense to them. Yes, go on.
So are you saying essentially when we see Christians, they say things like, well, we have all these different mushafs.
Yes.
And you know, if you compare them and you take all the different readings, there's like 4,000 differences, or this kind of whatever rubbish they make. So what you're saying is all of these different readings are from the Prophet, peace be upon him. He recited in this way.
Yes.
If we look at how these so-called differences are there, it is in how they are pronounced. And yes, the meaning does change, but each meaning is a mercy and is complementary.
It's easiness for people as well. I haven't even mentioned some others. It gives easiness. Okay, the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught, you know, and had taught Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through like different, like what we call sab'atu ahruf, yeah, 7 modes. That 7 is there, is used as plural, yeah. It's not like specifically or this that. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is so merciful. Okay, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Yeah, he was mercy for not all mankind, for jinns, for animals, for everything. Okay, إِلَّا رَحْمَةً, yeah, لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Subhanallah, this is amazing. Okay, and when Quran was brought in Quraysh dialect for the first time, so in Meccan period, okay, so everything is fine, and then people started becoming Muslims, especially when Muslims migrated to Medina. So in Medina and in other parts, there are many different tribes, okay. So these tribes, they have they pronounce things differently, okay. For example, just imagine a Scottish guy is speaking an English, and then in English you're speaking English. Now, if you take a Scottish guy who's 60 years old, and then tell him that you're gonna speak, yeah, posh English, what do you think would happen? Do you think he would struggle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Do you think he would struggle big time?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Or imagine, take a Chinese person, yeah? So make it like 50 years old, not 60, and tell that Chinese person to learn English. Do you think he would struggle? Huh?
Yeah.
Yes. So also imagine people from all sort of groups. Imagine a person who can't pronounce ha. They can pronounce ayn. For example, they cannot say hatta, they say atta. Huh? They cannot say heen, they say ayn. So how will that person struggle in reading Quran? Huh?
Yeah.
Quran is a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Muhammad is a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Prophet Muhammad when he saw all these people coming to Islam, young, children, elderly, okay, everyone, he is a rahmah. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel alayhi salam to make it easy. And then Jibreel alayhi salam came and said, okay, because in the first dialect, you know, and then in Quraysh dialect, and then so there are now different, tribes, and then also different like non-Arabs, they are becoming Muslims. So, and then Prophet Muhammad asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and 3 times, and after the 3rd time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increased one by one. Okay, I will, allow you to teach in different like modes, yeah. And then after the 3rd time, Jibreel salam came and said, okay, you can teach in 7 ahruf, okay. And then Prophet Muhammad started teaching in that way, okay, and that was because of mercy. We need to understand this term, okay, mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So also from these different modes, we get different rulings which makes our lives so much easier under certain circumstances. And another issue is like we need to know the issue of abrogation, okay? And in abrogation issue there is also rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people. And yes, go on.
So before you mention abrogation, so again, are you saying that essentially you have several dialects, readings, intonations, whatever, whatever people want to call them, and this actually allows it to contain more meaning? Basically, like in one sentence, because there's different ways, you can actually, it's basically like a code. You can put more meaning into less. So it's actually really unfair, isn't it, for people to then come along and say, oh, well, you have a language which is so, which has so much, I believe the word in codes is something to do with redundancy. So basically there's, you can put so much information into it, oh, this is not fair, this is a contradiction. So it's like saying if I could pronounce English, and if I was speaking a sentence in kind of a northern accent, it would have maybe a different meaning or a different emphasis than if I was speaking in a Cockney accent. I know it isn't like that in English, but it is in some languages. So, but then critics are coming along and saying, oh yeah, this is not fair, why, how can you do that, right? Like they're saying this is a version when it's not. It's actually the nature of the language, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But also, look, this is important. Like nowadays, majority of Muslims, we are reading the Qur'an, like Hafs, which is the narrator of Imam Asim. Okay. And the main reason is, seriously, it is I would say, I mean, some people may argue, it is the easiest out of all others, okay, in terms of its like rulings, okay. And as you can see, where the narration goes to Abdurrahman al-Sulami and Uthman radiallahu anhu, okay, Uthman radiallahu anhu, Ali radiallahu anhu, okay, Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu, yeah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. So they all agreed upon it. Do you understand? So, and we read upon this. Also, in other like regions, like in parts of North Africa, so we have Warsh and Qalun, yeah, both of them narrators of Imam Nafi', and that goes again like through this narration, as you can see, Abdullah bin Abbas, and Abu Hurairah, and Umar bin Khattab, Zayd bin Thabit, Ubay bin Ka'b. And so as you can see, Ubay bin Ka'b here, okay? And then Ubay bin Ka'b again here, you see? Right? So Nafi, Asim. So it's all the right? The only difference is Prophet Muhammad had too much knowledge. You cannot even comprehend, okay? So he taught people whatever they need, right? And he taught it through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all these imams later on, like they became famous, etc., all because of Prophet Muhammad. These are not differences as far as I am concerned. If they all come from Prophet Muhammad, nothing is changed. Okay, yes?
Actually, it's a good. You don't actually see these criticisms from Orientalists or linguists. You usually see them from Christians who don't speak Arabic, like Sam Shimon, for example. Even though he's Arab, he doesn't speak Arabic, and certainly they don't know the grammar properly. And we had the same issue with another guy. Do Arab Christians, through history, do you see them making this type of criticism and saying, "Oh, look, this is a different version, this is a different version"?
No, never. You know what? They were even amazed by the language of Qur'an. And you know, the interesting thing is, through these different like narrations, all these, you know, different tribes, their dialect, okay, as well as, you know, the specific words that they use, or they used in those times, were kept to this day. Although, like a normal, like a Arab, nowadays speak like a bit different Arabic, like in a slang, yeah. And oh, by the way, do not get fooled, yeah. Like the Arab people do not understand, yeah, the Quran, like in the way that, like, I will just explain it to you, okay. So they have to also study, okay. But if Arabic language is preserved so well today, that is because of Quran, okay. And so also, like, you know, in some allegations, like there are so-called like verses which were in Quran and this, that. So we can easily spot whether something is from Quran or not, because it has certain like a character to it, verses, okay. So, for example, in one of them, like in these allegations, apparently there was like a surah which starts with like Ibn Adam, okay, and like talking about Ibn Adam, referring to like human being. If a human being had, you know, a gold mountain, and then he would want another one, and that sort of stuff, like. For example, there is not a single verse or a Quranic characteristic which refers to a human being as Ibn Adam. Okay? So from that you can easily see that that is not something from Quran. But it could be a narration or like a, you know, maybe Prophet Muhammad said it in a hadith, yani, to explain something. Okay? But that is in conflict with the nature of Quran, for example. Because Quran, like, for example, mentioned Ya Bani Adam, not Ibn Adam. Okay? In Quran, Bani Adam occurs in several times, but not in the form of Ibn Adam. So, like, one needs to know the whole Quran. One needs to know, like, the ilm of, like, sarf, nahu. For example, in say yatahharna, okay. So yatahharna, this is in Surah Al-Baqarah, okay. So in one qira'ah it is recited as yatahharna, but this is actually it is actually like yatatahharna, okay. It comes from a bab called bab tafa'al, okay, like like ta'allam. You say وَخَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنِ, you know, that ta'allam. So one needs to know. So can I say, look, when if I write this as like yattahharna, okay. By the way, this is in different qira'ah, okay. So so it's not in hafs. So so who will know that this was like yatatahharna? Do you understand? So according to this Christian people's logic, I would say, oh, actually, you know, there's a ta here, and, you know, it is not there anymore, so Quran changed. This shows just, you know, ignorance. There are many things like that. For example, in certain, like, okay, Like for example, you know, Maliki Yawmiddin, right? So Maliki Yawmiddin is written without alif, okay? But in all the mushafs, it is written without alif. But some reciters Maliki Yawmiddin, some reciters Malik. But Malik dictates that there should be alif there, right? So these were all like, look, you will never understand, oh, why, you know, this or why that, or you need to learn the ilm, this knowledge. Do you understand? I have been like learning for about, wow, since I knew myself, and I'm still learning, okay? And when I see people like, you know, coming up with, oh, you know, this is, and what did you like learn, or like, what is your background? Oh, I'm a scientist, or I'm a doctor. Choose your like position, or I'm a Christian, or I'm not, I don't even Arabic, but you know, it should make sense. I looked at from the translation. Now, translation, do you think translation will explain it to you, you know, these things? Do you think like, you know, you will know these things? People study these for years, yeah, years. I'm not saying every single Muslim has to study these. But what I'm saying is, if you want to talk about something, if you have the knowledge, then you talk about it. Okay? So if you don't have the knowledge, then that's what the hadith says. If you're going to speak the truth, then speak the truth. And if you're not going to speak the truth, just be silent. Yes?
You very nicely covered, you know, the kind of allegations which Christians bring up, and it is, as you say, because of not having access to this information, and Muslims also, they don't know, so they get confused. But you
not only they don't know, they're lazy. Okay, this is another thing. Like people, they, you know, save up, they give money to study at universities for years. Okay. And their only dream is to get a car and to get married and have a nice life, okay? A female and like a male, they're all the same. So when I like, for example, come across with, look, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, I just explain it to you what that means. So what is that? That tells you that you do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? Even like when it comes to, let's say, you know, like a relationship. You will love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you love the person because who they are, then that will never be eternal. And it will cause like problems. But if you love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will only love for the sake of Allah, and you will only hate for the sake of Allah. Okay, there's going to be barakah there, blessings. And so we should approach like everything in that sense. And also we should see all these things as a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now also what I want to do is, I want to inshallah mention some verses from Qur'an specifically with their meanings, okay, to inshallah, you know, consolidate, strengthen this understanding about like different recitations and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, is treating his creatures, and how Prophet Muhammad's behavior is, and all that sort of stuff. Yes?
Are you going to address, because you handled the issue of a babe in garb, and you said there's no actual narration where he says, oh, I have a different Quran, you know. But what about Abdullah ibn Masud? People...
Same thing. Look, Abdullah ibn Masud, they said like there was no Fatiha, and then Mu'awwidhatayn, like then like Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's what they say.
But he didn't have those at all.
Yeah, he didn't have those.
Right.
So one of the reasons, there are certain surahs, yeah, we recite like daily. So Surah Al-Fatiha and like Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, these are such surahs. Okay? And as I told you, the religion is not a religion for someone individual. And the same with, like, look at this, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Look, Abdurrahman as-Sulami, learned from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Okay? And then Asim and our Qur'an that we are right now reciting. How many surahs we have?
114.
114. Yeah? So then, what does that tell you? Okay, another thing, Hamza. I have a copy of Khalaf and Khalad. Both they are the narrators of Imam Hamza. Rahimahullah. And he learned from like through Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Like, look, there are other people here, not that much. So I just skip them. Do you understand? So I cannot like go through everything in detail. And then, as you can see, Hamza also learned from Ali radiallahu anhu, 114. And then Kisai from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, right? So as you can see, like all these three, they are from Kufa school of thought. Okay, they learn from there. And so what I'm saying is, all of them, their like transmission comes from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Okay. Look, I know some people, they have a copy of Qur'an, but not the whole copy. Only the last juz amma. I know some people, they have a copy of just from juz tabarak, like the last 60 pages of Qur'an. Okay? They keep reading that constantly, or they wherever they go, they bring that, you know, along with them.
Even in English translation, but where Kabir Helminski, he did a translation like selected verses,
exactly.
I believe. So it's just like just certain, and Martin Lings as well. So he just did like the most what he called like certain heart of certain. So even in English there is translations which is not whole translations. Like Martin Lings is a very famous guy, so he did that.
So like it depends on your needs. The Qur'an that these people had, it is their individual, like is in their possession. And one of the reasons that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiallahu anhu, he did not want to like give up his Qur'an. You know, when Zayd ibn Thabit, radiallahu anhu, and under his commission, there were like 12 with him, companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During the time of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anh, they compiled the Quran, and also during the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was in Kufa at that time. So he did not really understand what was going on, right? And he received the news saying that, you know, he should give up his Quran. Do you understand? Look, I still have, you know, Qur'an, certain Qur'ans, okay? And when you develop a relationship with the Qur'an, okay? You know, once I remember, like, I always have these small Qur'ans, because, you know, I need to, like, always revise my hifz, because it is hard, you know? Not only, like, you know, one type of Qur'an. If you know all of it, then you go like a bit, you know, wow, it's too much. So at this, you know, so I like, even when I am walking or that, this guy, he saw the Quran. You know, wallahi, that Quran, I remember, you know, when it was raining, imagine I'm reading with it. This, even like pages were like, and then I remember like you know, fly. Even just a fly just landed on it, or you know, like a leaf from a tree while I was in. So all these things, when you are reading, okay, and when you are crying, when you are smiling, okay, you are with it. So when this person asked me of this Quran from me, wallahi, I just felt like I don't know what I'm gonna do, okay. But he asked, like, you know, repetitively, like, say, insisted. And, you know, it was so hard for me to give that Quran to him. And I said, I'm giving this to you, but if you do not read it, I will see you on the Day of Judgment. Yeah, like you know the relationship. That's what I'm trying to say. Like explain this to you. So this person, yeah, he has been compiling the book. I haven't even compiled this Quran. Do you understand? He for himself. Yeah, over the years. So you have this connection. So of course it is a natural thing immediately. If someone asks, everyone is like individual Quran, yeah, back because they are making, you know, they made a decision about the compilation and, you know, then naturally you would resist what's going on. I want to understand the situation. And if they tell you that, okay, Zayd ibn Thabit is the head, who is younger than Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, okay? And you would immediately say like, what, am I going to listen to him just because? And then, you know, it was made clear to him that, you know, Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, Uthman radiallahu anhu, Ubay bin Ka'b, everyone, they, you know, had a consensus upon this issue. Then he said, oh, okay, you know. They even used Abdullah ibn Mas'ud as like, oh, he was against it and he opposed, you know, this, that, all that sort of stuff. You need to understand things, okay, clearly. It is easy to just, you know, slander and say stuff. So, in this compilation, all these scholars and companions of Prophet, they agreed upon. There was not a single doubt. And the opposition that they are referring to from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I just explained it to you. Alright? There's a bit more to it, but this is enough.
Is this, forgive me for saying, is this your explanation, or is this basically we can trace it back to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, where he was on program after these misunderstandings? Because like you said, he's far away, he doesn't know why do you want my Quran. But once everything is sorted out, do you have a narration by him where he's like, yeah, it's fine?
Of course, yeah, I have a narration, yes.
And
you want me to narrate it?
No, I mean, yeah, if you could. And also, if, for example, where's the proof that his Quran, or his copy actually lacked Fatiha and these other two? Did he ever say that, yeah, it doesn't have this, or is this like a deduction or something?
No, first of all, you know, these narrations, they're not sahih.
Yeah.
Okay?
I've heard this actually. They're not reliable narrations.
No.
Either, yeah.
Okay, and first of all, we need to understand a concept which is called ijma' ummah.
By the way,
yes.
According to what you said before, then that's a bit of a waste of time by the Christians, because all of this stuff is mutawatir, and all of these are going
Look,
to...
their aim is to confuse people. And now I will mention some verses. You're gonna think immediately, wow, is this like referring to right now what is happening? Because these things, they're not new things. They have been going on for years. They can't find a single contradiction in Quran. So they are trying to refer to the miraculous nature of Quran, which is not found in any other book. Okay? Because people don't have knowledge about these, you know, sciences. So they can just confuse people. It's same methodology of shaitan. He comes and whispers, and then he just leaves you with it. Then you deal with it. If you do not have knowledge, then you will do what shaitan tells you. If you have knowledge, then you will easily dismiss it. That's one of the reasons before you learn anything, in Quran, like especially, you know, for example, if you want to learn like tasawwuf, okay, about like complete like spirituality, this, that, you are not allowed, one is not allowed to, start learning about tasawwuf unless that person has a knowledge of fiqh and aqaid. These two things, jurisprudence and faith-related matters. Otherwise, that person is gonna be, the toy of shaitan. And nowadays you can see many people who claims that, you know, they are following tasawwuf and all that sort of stuff because they do not have fiqh, jurisprudence knowledge, they do not have aqaid knowledge, so they became the toy of shaitan. And then some other people, they look at these people, who are following shaitan, and then they say, oh, all people of tasawwuf, yeah, are like this. So they are also another extreme. So we need to be careful. We need to understand what these things are, and then.
But how can you challenge a mutawatir even with a sahih? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's to challenge a mutawatir narration or.
Mutawatir is different from Sahih. Sahih is different. Mutawatir is different.
But like
Mutawatir. Okay, Sahih is under Ahad hadith. Ahad hadith can be like Sahih or Da'if or Hasan.
Yeah.
So Mutawatir is different. Mutawatir only Qur'an. Whatever is in Qur'an is Mutawatir. Also, whatever is like Aqidah related issues. These are also mutawatir. Because Aqidah is like Fiqhul Akbar. That's why Imam Abu Hanifa called his book. Because it is the greatest fiqh. It's a different fiqh from like jurisprudence. Because it's the most important. Because if you do not believe in one of the things, then you are not Muslim. That's why Aqaid is the most important thing. Okay? Not philosophy. I'm not talking about philosophy. Aqaid. Okay, this is very important. And then nowadays people, they just study like philosophy and all that sort of stuff without just knowing aqaid at all. You are digging yourself up a grave, my friend. That's what you are doing. And inshallah we will talk about these things. That's what, like, you guys need to really step up and take up classes and learn. Otherwise your kids will be deprived of these sort of knowledge. Okay? Which one is more important? Yeah?
I think
yes,
certainly the problem with, I mean, now you mentioned about Aqidah and philosophy, I think the problem is actually there's a lot of classes, and I think one of the most popular classes is Aqidah. But actually the groups and the people who teach Aqidah, so people in this country are sincere and we do want to learn, even when they get older. But then if they go to a teacher or to a group who's going to teach them wrong Aqidah, but for example, I don't think there's any proper place where teaches Hanafi or Maturidi, Ashari or Maturidi Aqidah. And most of the people in this country, they think Asharis are some kind of heretics. Or
look,
something.
listen. Just inshallah, we can make another talk about this. Yeah. People do not know even what Imam Ash'ari is, what Imam Maturidi is, where they live.
He's a Mu'tazilite.
What is that?
He was a Mu'tazilite,
Huh?
That's one of
just leave this, as I told you, like, if you're going to talk about something, you have to have knowledge, otherwise don't talk. Because you might be kafir, you don't even know. Right? I see, people that are saying like lots of things, like for example, they don't believe in adab al-qabr. Okay? This is one of the things, for example. I see like this many times. I can like provide you over 250 hadith, including like mutawatir, and also like the sayings of these great scholars of Salaf, right? And even like in Al-Fiqh al-Absad, Imam Abu Hanifa's book, there are also some verses regarding this issue. Imam Abu Hanifa says in Al-Fiqh al-Absad, if someone believes in that verse but does not believe in the tafsir, like the commentary of that verse referring to adab al-qabr, that person,
sorry, azab al-qabr is
the punishment of in grave.
Oh, right, sorry.
That,
Okay.
look, if you do not believe in the tafsir, like the commentary of that person then comes out of Islam. He's indulged in kufr.
Okay.
This is a serious matter, and this is part of Aqidah. How are you gonna know, by studying philosophy about Aqidah?
But
So that's why I'm trying to say, this ilm is through naql. So you take the naql and then, with your aql, with your reasoning, you try to understand it. Right? Now, inshallah, we will carry on. Now, I would like to cover a part of a very important topic actually in Quranic sciences, and this will also shed some light on the issues that we are trying to cover in today's lecture. And this is about like nasikh wal mansukh. This is like the abrogation. Is there an abrogation in Quran or not? And this issue is very, very important. And because if in order to make like commentaries in the Quran, and so one needs to know which verse was abrogated or why, or you know, the wisdom behind this. You cannot just, because you know, I met certain people, they were quoting me a verse from Quran which was abrogated, and they have no clue about it. And they're saying that, oh bro, blah blah. And I said like what is wrong with you, you know? And then he's spreading it with his text messages and all that, because everyone has smartphones, etc. Yeah. So this is sickness, seriously. This is really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will just give you what abrogation is quickly, and then the wisdom behind it. Why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, or like how this happens. Okay. First of all, in like a dictionary meaning, it means to remove or annihilate. Okay. And for example, if you say نسخت الشمس الظل, then it means like the sun removed the shadow. Okay, so it also means like to copy or to transfer something from one place to another, or this that, like you can say like, for example, نسخت الكتاب, like I copied the book. And that's why like in the compilation during the time of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anhu, because they made different copies of a like of one Quran, so they call that istinsakh. Okay, so that's like a copy. Okay, so and so is there evidence about this? Okay, yes, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا نَنْسَخْ مِنْ آيَةٍ أَوْ نُنْسِهَا نَأْتِ بِخَيْرٍ مِنْهَا أَوْ مِثْلِهَا أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. So, what it means is, none of our revelations do we abrogate or cause it to be forgotten, but we substitute something better or similar. Okay, so know you that Allah has power over all things. Yes?
But some people say that's to do with earlier revelations, not the Quran itself.
Huh?
People say that ayat refers to Torah, Injil, other revelations, not within Quran. Is it agreed upon issue that interpretation of this ayah is to do with abrogation within Quran?
Now, let me explain this to you, okay? And then you will tell me if it is about the previous revelations and this that. The one thing is, there is talking about ayah, right? It's not talking about book. If it was talking about book, if it was talking about like previous revelations, we would mention it. It's talking about ayah. Ayah means a verse. Okay? And we will also give examples, and then you will understand what we mean by that. Okay, and so the abrogation, it happens through like a legal rulings. It doesn't happen by a story. For example, story of, let's say, Musa alayhi salam or Yusuf alayhi salam, which and these are mentioned in the Quran. There's no abrogation in these issues. Like abrogation is also common in law, whether in like UK Parliament or in America. Okay, like and if you just search for it, like repeal or annulment and
amendments to the
yeah,
constitution.
yes, exactly, these sort of issues. You will see these are common practices in law, and in Qur'an also these are practices like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abrogated verses in order to educate people gradually, okay, and also out of His mercy. Now, I will not dwell on this point too much, yeah, so I'll just give one example, and then we can inshallah do a separate talk about this issue later on. So, and let's talk about the let's talk about the issue of drinking. Okay, but before that, I want to reiterate this, the revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, as found in the Quran, touch on variety of subjects. So the abrogation issue, yeah, is not related to beliefs. Like, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, first, believe in angels, okay, or the prophets, and then changes it. Okay, it's not like that. Okay, or any history or historical facts, tales of the prophet, or day of judgment. First Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yeah, this, and then no, not like that. So, or paradise, hell, and these sort of issues. So it is about the ahkam, legal rulings. This is the key point here. Okay. Okay, because they prescribe the manner of legal relationships between people as Allah wishes them to be observed. So while the basic message of Islam remains always the same, the legal rulings have varied throughout the ages. That's why the Quran is so dynamic. That's one of the benefits of these different, modes of recitation. Yeah? It all comes down to this mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we gave one example, for example, about a woman who's on her period. If you we covered this in Asbab al-Nuzul issue, okay? So how this legal ruling becomes a mercy through different modes of recitation. So let's give one example, okay? And how, for example, drinking or intoxicants are forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First thing in Surah Al-Nahl, verse 67 was revealed, and that one is Sa'ad Bismillah, وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا. Okay, and here and from the fruits of palm trees, okay, and grapevines you take intoxicant. So that's okay. وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ مِنْهُ تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا. Okay, and then intoxicants and good provision. That one is وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly separating the intoxicants that you make and good provision. So intoxicants from grapevines and palm trees, they are not considered as part of good provision. So this is the first verse were revealed regarding this issue. Then this is Surah Al-Nahl, verse 67. And then later on, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the verse, they ask you about wine and gambling. Okay? Say, in them is great sin. Okay? And yet some benefit for people. Like, قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. Okay? وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. That's but the sin is greater than their benefit. In another qira'at is أَكْثَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. Okay, it's more than. One is greater, the other is like more. Yeah. So as you can see, like subhanallah. And so it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now talking about like there's some harm now in it. Okay? And then in the third one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa, this was in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 219, and then in Surah An-Nisa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, La taqrabu as-salata wa antum sukara. Do not approach salah while you are intoxicated. Yeah? Hatta ta'lamu ma taqul. Until you know what you are saying. Okay? So, and then, so as you can see, there's a build up there. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade it when they are praying. But if someone is drinking, right, so then it may cause like difficulties for those people because we pray 5 times. So, you know, so they have to be careful now. So it's kind of like disciplining. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave people to contemplate about this. Like preparing people. Okay? And then, lastly, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه لعلكم تفلحون. O you who believe, indeed intoxicants and gambling and some other stuff mentioned, so are but defilement, yeah, from the work of shaitan, from devil. So avoid it that you may be successful. Okay? And with the verse, and it's carrying on, okay? إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Okay? And shaitan only wants to cause, yeah, أَن يُقِعَ بَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءِ. Like amongst you, shaitan wants to cause animosity and hatred through intoxicants and gambling. الخمر والميسر. Okay, and to avert you from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and from prayer. So, يَصُدُّونَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. So, he is trying to avert you from the remembrance of Allah and from prayer. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ. So, will you not desist? And when this verse was revealed, people, when they heard this, some people, you know, their cup was in their hands, like this. They did not say, let's finish this one, and then immediately they dropped it. They said, oh Allah witnesses. Khalas, finished. And everyone left it. But even before these last verses were revealed, some people already left it. Because it is like a progress. So now this is like this last, you know, the last verses, they abrogate the other ones. Okay, because according to, for example, first one, like they abrogate the hukum. Okay, so because according to the first one, you can still like make intoxicants. And then the second one, you know, some benefits is that there's no like, you know, clear thing. The third one is saying only, you know, in salah. And then this one is a general, you know. So, and now this last verse is the one. And the other one, like the other example we can give also is about like, we also mentioned this in Asbab al-Nuzul lecture. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying like west and east, yeah, belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So wherever you turn towards, yeah, pray, you can pray towards that direction. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. So turn towards Masjid al-Haram. So that verse was abrogated by this verse. So now you cannot say, oh, you know what, I can pray wherever then your salah will not be valid. But there is a mercy here. So hukum has been abrogated, like the ruling, but for example here, the lafz is still there. So this shows that, like, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا نَنْسَخْ مِنْ آيَةٍ أَوْ نُنْسِهَا نَأْتِ بِخَيْرٍ مِنْهَا أَوْ مِثْلِهَا. So, because there are different types of, recitation of this verse as well. And from one of them, we deduce the ruling of this ruling might be postponed for some time later, that where people, let's say, are lost somewhere in a desert or a jungle, whatever. They don't know, where Masjid al-Haram is, or they can't see the sun properly, this, that. So for those sort of people, there is ruhsa, there is a license, to act upon that verse. This shows again like a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not making this religion so restricted. For example, if you are in that sort of environment, you would immediately think, oh, you know what, I don't know Masjid al-Haram, right? So, I should not pray, right? Something like that, or shaitan would come, whisper and all that sort of stuff. So that's why knowledge is important. That's why knowing these, like abrogation, or if something is abrogated or not, knowing these are important. And they're all through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also, I want to ask about this, for example, since you guys are doctors, and about this, the implications of this gradual, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gradually forbidden, the issue of khamr, intoxicants. So, what do you think? Why? What is the reason? What would have happened if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would immediately say, it's haram now, finish it? As a doctor, I'm asking you.
It would be a problem, because if a lot of the companions are drinking alcohol at that time and you stop drinking alcohol suddenly, then you can have problems which we see nowadays quite commonly in hospital, which is called alcohol withdrawal, and something called delirium tremens. And this is where people become very anxious, can become aggressive, having hallucinations, and a lot of problems. So, and we have to give them medication in hospital called Librium and Chlorodex, these type of things. So to go from drinking alcohol to suddenly and immediately stopping can be a big problem. You could even lose your life because of this reason. So it makes complete sense to have gradual process, or those companions being told to resist, stay away from alcohol, to finally stop. So that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and it also shows how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful for his slaves. And also it shows, the allegations about oh, this abrogation, how can God change the Qur'an? This, how stupid it is. When you have the correct knowledge and look at things from these perspectives, you see that the wisdom behind abrogation is to observe the interest of people, to educate people gradually, to test people also, to test people to see if they obey or not. Because some may say, what is this, why it was not abrogated then, why now, blah blah, So test the sincerity of people, and it's just for the benefit and goodness of ummah. And
I think your explanation.
I've just I want to explain this issue of there's a myth of Quranic verses eaten by a goat or some other like domestic animal, so which is not like really clear through the narrations, and so like using a report from Sunan ibn Majah, these Christian missionaries alleged that some verses of the Quran were lost as they were eaten by a goat. Okay, so this is so funny. Okay, the reason is it's just another like issue where like they just want to confuse people, and so. First of all, we look at like the authenticity of this narration. Okay, and the text of this narration, I mean, I will just give you the meaning. So it says, the verse of stoning and of suckling an adult 10 times was revealed, and they were written on a paper and kept under my pillow. When the messenger of Allah expired and we were occupied by his death, a goat entered and ate away the paper. Okay, and so first of all, the authenticity of this narration. Okay, and I will not get into the details of this, like the transmission, this that, but there's a person in the chain, which is whose name is Muhammad bin Ishaq. So and so it's just through this guy, this like chain of transmission is regarded as weak and unauthentic due to a practice in tadlis, like a practicing of subtly missing a link. And this we can do lectures about it if you want to really learn, okay, about what this is. And then yes, so this hadith is regarded as da'if, which is weak. Also, it does not in any way like harm the authenticity of Qur'an. Okay, and because one of the two allegedly like lost verses, as per this narration, was about stoning. Okay, this one like a punishment of married adulterers. But there are also other narrations prove that a commandment was revealed about stoning, but the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not allow it to be written as part of Quran, right? Implying that it was not meant to be Quran integral part. Okay, and how do we know this? Because there's a narration from Kathir bin Salt, and Zayd bin Thabit said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, when a married man or woman commit adultery, stone them both to death. Hearing this, Amr said, when this was revealed, I came to Prophet Muhammad and asked if I could write it. And he disliked it. He said, like he did not say that to be written. So, so also this is like through Zayd bin Thabit, and Zayd bin Thabit, who was Zayd bin Thabit, as you can see, he was the commissioner, right? So if he, if this is like coming from him, and he is also aware of what is going on in Quran and what is not gonna come into Quran, we know that he himself recited the Quran to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ before Prophet ﷺ passed away, and so he's an authority. So if there was like missing something or this that, he would be the first one to put it there, Also, as we know that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not allow this to be written, so it's not meant to be a part of the Quran. And the other one is the second allegedly lost verse was about suckling, okay, suckling of an adult 10 times. But in this case, too, we have other narrations which categorically say the verse was abrogated, okay. And interestingly, those narrations, they come through Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, and then we say that so Aisha reported that it had been revealed in the Holy Quran that 10 clear sucklings make the marriage unlawful, then it was abrogated by 5 sucklings. So this narration explicitly says the verse about 10 sucklings was abrogated. So also, having known that neither of them was meant to be part of the Quran, even if we accept the narration in question, we will have to say that perhaps Aisha radiallahu anha had kept them with her as a historical record and nothing more. Thus, even if the goat actually ate them up, no part of the Quran was lost. Okay? It's abrogated, it clearly says it. Okay? And also, Aisha radiallahu anha lived through the whole period of Quran compilation during the time of Abu Bakr. Since we took 2/3 of this religion from Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, her ilm was amazing. And also she lived during the time of Abu Bakr and Uthman radiallahu anha, while she was unanimously considered an authority, okay, for herself. So if she had any thought about some verses missing, she would have brought it to attention of other companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Let alone these hadith are ahad. Okay. So also we have evidence of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anha making special endeavor of consulting Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha and her records for verifying the official compilation. So she was also an authority who was being consulted during the compilation. So if there was an issue like this, she would immediately raise it, and they would decide whether it was part of Quran or not. And also I would like to mention that these hadith, they come through ahad narration, okay? They are not mutawatir. So we should not even dwell on these, saying that, oh, what's going to happen, oh, is this part of Quran or this, that. They are not mutawatir, okay? But if you want explanations, okay, and then we are given the explanations. About these, for example, sucklings, that we know that there was a verse, first, as if I explained in abrogation of intoxicant. So first 10 sucklings, and then 5 sucklings, and then even 1 suckling just makes the marriage unlawful. Now this suckling thing it was a very common practice at the time in Mecca and Medina, and so many people actually, in some way or another, they at a younger age, they would go through this practice. So it was common. So and it would be really again difficult for people, if the verse was to say, all right, now, even 1 suckling will be the marriage will be unlawful. Okay.
What do you mean by suckling?
It's
breastfeeding.
Yes.
But what does it mean by adult breastfeeding? I mean,
for example, let's say, okay, one example. Children at a very younger age, they would be taken by certain people, So who would like look after these kids?
Wet nurse. Yeah.
Yes, like a wet nurse, yeah, exactly. And then this was a very common practice at the time. So so this practice was so common, and then so the abrogation of not the abrogation, so this practice needs to be stopped, like slowly, right?
For adults.
Yeah, like you not stopped. Like what I'm trying to say is
restriction.
Yeah, slowly, like restrictions. Yeah, because it is common. So if you make it in one go, it may cause like chaos, and it will be hard for people and this that. You
so
know?
they were adults doing this
Yes.
as well? Oh, right.
Adults who get breastfed by women.
No, not adults.
Right.
Kids.
Kids.
But if a kid gets breastfed by someone, then that person cannot get married
Yeah.
to like her, or like when he grows up,
Yeah.
and that kind of
It's
issue.
like his mum.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so this is that's why like and also like the person who's been breastfed through that person, okay, like let's sister or something,
Yeah.
and then so if they want to get married, so there are legal rulings for this. So first, it was like explained, like 10 sucklings and then 5 sucklings, and then even 1 suckling. This is again like through mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so it's just as I told you, like ignorance. It's just people they just don't know. They just go through this stuff, and it's like ridiculous,
So even
So none of them like affect the Qur'an in any manner, like
So it's daif. The
Yeah,
meaning,
it's-
the meaning doesn't even mean what they want it to say, and we have other sources which tell us about these ayats anyway, isn't it? That they have
Of course, like it's just the funny thing is such a common practice, so everyone knows about it, right? So if there was an issue, this would be raised and dealt with, especially by Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, yeah, who has been consulted, during the time of compilation, and whenever there were lots of issues, the companions, they asked Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. She was a faqih. She would give like rulings. Yeah, this is this, this is that. And so this is what I'm saying. Like when I see these things, I just laugh at them.
So it's another conspiracy theory, like you were talking before, like a giant cover-up where everyone pretended, like to hide this information. So it's a bit
Yes.
ridiculous, yeah. Well, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, and also there's another one about like narration through Ubay bin Ka'b, So and it's all like as I told you, like about stoning. I just explained that, right? So these are all like seriously some allegations which doesn't even have any proofs. And also like for example about the breastfeeding issue. Like you can see if you read the Sharh, Imam Nawawi's Sharh, then he writes, saying that Qur'an is not proved from a solitary report, which is like, Khabar Ahad. And so these are like, I don't know, assumptions, whatever, I don't even know how people like can link it, it's just, they think like this is a joke, or they compare these things with themselves, like however they think, or these are like polemic tactics, like assessing each of the arguments against these points, and see like I hope this was helpful.
Well, it was very helpful indeed, but can you give some advice to maybe Muslims and non-Muslims, maybe classes they can attend, or sciences they can study, or even just a book in English which they can read to maybe not be misled by these kind of polemics?
What I'm saying is like, inshallah, the first thing I recommend people to start with, inshallah, Aqidah, okay, and Aqidah Tahawiyah, and would be a good start. And also read the tafsir, like Ibn Kathir is I think has been translated. So you start reading from there, and whenever you have questions, you can ask, inshallah, and we can give out our email address, and so then people they may have questions, and then we will address, and whatever we are addressing here, we are all following Salaf Salihin, okay, and their route. We are not making anything up, and there are lots of other questions to be answered. But inshallah, what I will do, I'm planning to write an article, okay, and so inshallah these key points, so we can mention, because there are lots of as I told you, like other surah, and I mentioned earlier, like the issue about Ibn Adam, okay. It's not like in the hadith, so it says Ibn Adam has mountain of gold and this that. So it is not like from apparently, like Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, like he called upon these Huffaz, like those who memorize Qur'an in Basra, and then they asked them like there was this long surah, like the one Surah Tawbah and this that. So he told them, and then we just remember this bit, and then mentioning Ibn Adam had a value of like wealth, and then if he had the two, he would ask for the third value and this that. So as we said, like again, like this is not from Qur'an, because it's used Ibn Adam. It's not a Quranic like lafz or statement. And then so also, like what we say is like that some of these things, like this hadith, mainly they are the ones like where like we have abrogated verses, so they're attacking through that. We already made it so clear that what is abrogated and what is not, and so inshallah about the, as I told you, like about the goat thing, like whether the goat ate it or not, yeah, it's like irrelevant. But even that doesn't make sense, because no one had kept goats like inside the house, yeah, if that makes sense. And also the other thing is, and they were written on things like like stone, or like bone, and like skin of and a dead animal or something like that, these sort of things. And this, I mean, I have been a shepherd, okay? I come from a village, and I know what goats eat, right? A goat will never eat like things from this type of thing. And then in the hadith also, it's really strange. It just talks about like sahifa or suhuf. And the funny thing is just like this under a pillow, right? Just that one. Whereas we know that Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha had her own copy also. It's just there are lots of things there, right? And so that's why we call the hadith weak, so da'if, okay? And we say that the thing is, yes, what Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha was referring to, like in the hadith, they might be abrogated, like verses, and we explained that clearly. There's no issue about the authenticity of Quran whatsoever. And inshallah, may Allah bless us with the understanding and sincerity in approaching these knowledges. And inshallah, I will, as I told you, like, do not forget to read things from tafsir, okay, from the commentary. Otherwise, you will not understand the. Inshallah, also about the hadith, there are commentaries of hadith as well. And inshallah, if you are sincere, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.